to church, like, right, you couldn't question God. People used to say, like, I see
You couldn't question God?
No. Let's ask some questions. Welcome back to the Morgan Dialogues. Today we're going to be diving into an interesting topic that my husband came up with, and it's all about why it's important to ask questions and the dynamic of questions in a conversation or in any type of situation when there's involving communication. So let's jump in.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so it's amazing that I came up with that topic actually. In fact, I'm going to read something. It's a post, it's a comment where what started all of this, where the idea came about, the importance of asking questions. And he said, I heard a criminal profiler once said that serial murderers, when looking for a wife or girlfriend, yes, I said that right. Serial murderers, when looking for a wife or girlfriend, will test them on the first date.
Okay.
To ensure they are someone who will not ask questions.
Oh, wow.
Watch this now. So they will show up late for the date. Remember, they have a date, and the serial profiler will show up late for the date.
Yeah.
Or tell an obvious lie to see how she responds. If she gets upset or asks a lot of questions, they will move on to a softer target who won't question their behavior.
Oh. Interesting.
Talk to me. Tell me what is so interesting.
First of all, that's sick. Very sick. It's a very disturbed individual. You know, I think what it highlights to me first is how easily you can fall into a deception or a trap or, you know, an unfortunate situation if you're not asking questions.
Simply put.
Yeah.
Simply
Because especially
put.
like you're talking about, like when you're on a date with someone or you're getting to know somebody, asking questions is absolutely important.
Yes. And I think when you think about it as well, at the end of the day, you notice what he said? He did these things deliberately. And at the end of the day, he's seeing the type of person you are.
Yeah.
He's testing, and if you are,
if he could trick you.
oh my gosh. And so he's literally saying, will this person ask questions?
Yes.
Is it okay for this person? Will this person question the things that are happening? Will they challenge what I even said to them? The fact that we're just meeting, isn't it the best time to say, you know what, this is not working out, let's move on from here? And the fact that they're saying, oh, this person asks too much question, let me get someone else.
Yes.
You know what that's telling me then? Well, put it this way. All right, I hear a lot of persons would say, oh, I was in a relationship with this type of, maybe a person like this. It's and if you check it out, in most cases, it's usually at the end.
Yes, at the end of the relationship, when it failed.
Oh my gosh, at the beginning, they're like, oh my gosh, this person
was so perfect for me. We were a match made in heaven. Yeah.
And when I say at the end, I'm not talking even a day, a week, or a month, you know.
Yeah.
Sometime up to a year, years.
Yeah.
And it's only at the end you're like, oh my gosh, this person was this. I was in a relationship where I was abused, and this person was this, and it was that. And I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, this person is saying that.
That's a good point, because I think when you meet people, there's so much information that is hidden.
Yes.
Right? And so if you don't probe that person and really get an idea of who they are, you end up falling for a version of them that is not rooted in any truth of who the character actually is.
Yes.
I was going to ask you though, like, what has been, like, have you always been the type of person, because my husband asks questions. He does. So have you always been that type of person that asks questions, or what was like, how did you get to a place where you realized like it's better for me to ask more questions than just to make assumptions?
Oh, well, that's
like, what's your journey like with that?
Well, that's a good point. I wasn't the type that asks questions though.
Yeah, me neither.
growing up, I am still an introvert, but I observe more then. So I watch what happened. I remember I was in a relationship with someone. Well, not a relationship, because during high school I wasn't in none technically. Well, for the early part, for that matter. But I remember there was this event taking place at our school, but it was a day and night event.
Okay.
And I remember when I reached during the day and I was talking to this young lady. Mind you, she and I has never been friends during school hours.
Yeah.
But she knew me, right?
Yeah.
So we started talking, enjoying each other's company. In my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I may have this person to be with for the rest of the day up to the night.
Yeah.
Until a guy came.
Oh.
One of my classmates, but he drove a nice car. And for some reason, I realized she just easily started latching on to him and literally forgot about me.
Oh, cool.
I didn't ask her anything. I didn't say anything to her.
Yeah.
But in my mind, that taught me a lesson. The lesson, it taught me. It taught me a lesson that there are some women that they gravitate towards what you have rather than who you are.
Yeah.
So I asked myself that question. I self-reflect. There was a time I didn't ask them any question, but I asked myself, but then guess what happens next? There was a time I just assumed things about people.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, when you start forming these judgments, you start assuming. That's what asking question does. It gives you clarity.
Yeah.
So you see, I just observe. I think this is what it means to me.
Yeah.
Then after a while, I assume this is what it means. On another occasion, things change once I started asking questions. Because sometimes the thing that I'm thinking that is happening to this person or what they are doing or why they're doing, whenever I ask them questions, sometimes they're like, what are you talking about? That's not from the basis that I'm coming from.
Right.
So asking questions definitely gives clarity. How about you? Why did you start, or when did you start asking?
I will definitely say I was not a person that asked questions. I usually will keep my thoughts to myself, or if I wanted further clarity, I wouldn't really say that I needed it. And I think it starts like when you're growing up and you're afraid of being the dumb kid. Like you don't want to ask, like, wait, everybody in the class is pretending they know, but there's most of them probably don't, but because they're afraid to look like the kids that's not getting it, you just won't ask, and so you end up struggling a lot.
That's me.
Yeah, I was like that too. I didn't want to come across as like I didn't know, like everybody else seemed to know, but
yes.
And then I think later on in life, I think it happened around one of our country's controversial elections, and it was the first time that the legacy media or the news was being questioned. Because for so long, we were watching all these different networks and thinking that they were telling you the truth and they're covering the real news until somebody decided to question it finally. Like, are they really giving you the news? Are they really telling you the full truth? Are they providing both sides of a story, or are they creating this narrative?
Yes.
And I think that's when, for me, I started having more doubt about the information that is presented to me. So it's almost like, okay, I need to be like, asking questions helps you to think for yourself.
Yes.
Right? You're not just a minion or a robot.
Accepting everything.
Yeah, you're just not accepting, which makes you, vulnerable to deception and stuff, right? So I feel like from that point on, I started to be more aware of okay, what are they hiding, right? Or what's the other side of the story that they're not telling me? And I think later on, it actually ended up helping me out when I was doing branding work, right? I would meet with clients and have to dig deep, ask them questions to help them dig deeper to the root of whatever it is that we were working on. And that started to spill over into my everyday relationships and conversations with people. And I do think that I've gotten better since we've been married because, like I said, you're the first person I met that asked layers upon layers upon layers, and you're like, where are we going with this? But it does kind of help you trace Where are we really trying to go here? Or what's the underlying, solution or the underlying answer that we're looking for?
I'm glad you brought that up again. Actually, one of the reasons why I started asking questions, in such as how you wondered, was I wanted to get to know you. The sooner I get to know who you are,
Yes.
the better it is for me.
Yeah.
And this is something we'll probably have to talk about later, walking away. And I think that's a problem a lot of people can't handle.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're not willing to ask those questions, because they don't want to face the truth.
They're afraid of the answer.
They're afraid of the answers. Yes, I see this person. They're looking, look, yes, I have this job. Yes, I'm being offered this opportunity. But they say that it don't want
You're
to
like,
ask
blah,
any
blah.
I don't want to. So they don't want to
Yeah.
really ask the question. And I think because it goes back to them not wanting to walk away. And I think that's,
Yeah.
so here's the thing. I'd reached a point that I was okay walking away.
Yeah.
So what that means, the more or the sooner I find out. So for example, I'll see something that you do. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
I'll ask you.
Yes, yes.
No, mind you, you may lie to me, but that's quite fine. And
Yeah.
that's the thing about asking questions. Take a mental note what they said.
Yeah. Because a liar can't keep up with their lies.
Very good. A person may lie to you,
Yeah.
but don't worry, believe it to be the truth, just the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
But the next time it happens, don't say anything.
Yes. Yeah.
You see what I just did? They may lie to you. The next time it happens, don't say anything. That's your time to observe.
Yeah.
Then when it happens again, you question them.
It reminded me of I think a lot of times if you remember growing up, you were not allowed to ask questions.
Oh my gosh.
You're not.
Voila. Before you go there, I think that's what happened with this, in terms of school. One of the reasons why I didn't ask as much question is how I saw some of our teachers handle the
Yes,
questions.
exactly. Yes.
I remember a teacher said, that's right or wrong. And if it's wrong, you're getting whooping.
Yeah.
And because of that, I didn't ask that teacher nothing.
Yes.
Because I'm like, so
Yes.
you don't allow mistakes? That's what you're... Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, because that's the thing. When you see the response of the adult,
Yes.
you're just like, well, dang.
Oh my God.
Can I ask? And then that spilled into church. Right, you couldn't question God. People used to say I see
You could question God?
No. Growing up in traditional black church, questioning God was equivalent to a sin. It's you don't question God. And I mean, I get not questioning God, his character.
Yes.
But what if you want, you're just God, why
did this happen?
Or I don't understand. You can ask God. The word literally encourages us to ask God questions when we lack wisdom. But growing up, that was a form of control, I think, where, as long as nobody's questioning you, you can preach anything you want.
Yes.
Same with parenting. It's when your child decides, hey, they want to say, ask you a question your parenting or your decision or whatever, right? A lot of parents will get upset and they'll be like, you're the child, know your place. And it's but
should be seen and not heard.
right. And that's the thing. Children, I think, early don't mean to be disrespectful, but they're so curious about the world and you're curious about things, so you ask questions. And then so when you get shut down, that already starts to engineer in you that asking questions is a bad thing.
And as well, it builds up a level of anger over time, because I am getting frustrated knowing
Yes.
that I want to express myself. And the worst thing is that you're not teaching me how to express myself.
Yes,
You're-
exactly.
You're not saying, okay, ask question, but ask it in the proper way.
Yes.
That has not been taught to me.
Yes.
So as I grew up and all that built anger, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't understand.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's why I lash out at others, even those that that loves me,
Yes.
cares for me,
Yeah.
and they're like, "What did I do to you?"
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. Because it encourages a society of people that are not open and transparent and honest, right? Because I look back and I would think adults, it's like they don't want to be seen as making a mistake. Like that's why I think I have definitely a perfectionist complex. Through my young childhood, formative years, and my young adulthood, I had this problem because every adult in my life, whether it were teachers, pastors, coaches, it always looked like they had it all figured out.
Wow.
Right? They didn't ask me questions. They never seemed to be searching for, the truth. It's like they just assumed, they just made assumptions. And so when you see that example, you're like, oh, I guess I'm not.
Something is wrong with me.
Something must be wrong with me because nobody else is asking questions. Nobody else is making mistakes. Everybody acts like they have it all together. And so I'm just like, oh, maybe something's wrong with me. And I think that's what triggers that perfectionist complex too, because you're just like, everybody else seems to get it.
So it makes you learn how to pretend.
Yes.
And act.
Yes, exactly.
And put on a front.
Yes, which is why I think when you get into a new relationship, or you're like at a job for the first time and you start fumbling through, but instead of you asking for help or support, I'll just figure it out.
Even when you're struggling.
And that doesn't make for an avenue to be intimate with the person. Yes, or even to grow.
Yeah, to build a relationship with someone. So, I'm here to help you.
Now we're all pretending. Like, I'm pretending, you're pretending. So nobody's really connecting.
You know what's crazy about that? There are some companies, some businesses love to hire persons who will not ask questions.
Just follow the rules.
Yes. So, for example, let's put it this way. When you watch movie, for example, I don't have a good personal experience, but when you watch movie of, let's say, the gangsters, movies are these mafia type movies, you don't ask the boss any question.
True.
The boss
Unless
said,
you want to get killed.
The boss said, take care of that person. You have to take care. So.
Oh, that reminds me of Jason Statham's movie. Remember the what was he called? The transporter?
Transporter.
Yes. So he's like transferring dead bodies.
He doesn't ask questions.
Yeah, and he's like, rule number 1, don't ask questions. You just do the job.
Yes, but that's a dangerous thing.
Yes.
Because as we learned in that movie, there were some things that he was trying. And that's the thing when you don't ask questions. But the question is this: what happens when you do ask questions? What happens? Are you willing to walk away?
Almost like depending on the answer, right? It's like, because we were saying earlier, people are afraid to ask questions sometimes because they're afraid of the answer, right? And so like you're about to go into about, walking away.
Yes, and I think this is very important. So I have a question to ask you. When last have you walked away from a friend, a relationship, or even a job? And are you in a position now where you have walked away and it has made you a better person?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing we have to realize. Sometimes we think that in relationship, that's all there is to learn about life. Oh, I'm not going in a relationship. Let's learn how to walk away here. That sounds good and nice. But if you can't walk away from your job, if you can't identify when something is dysfunctional, even in your very family, how can you walk away in your relationship with the person that's close to you? So it's what people need to realize, that walking away has to be holistic.
Yes.
It has to be something that you must assess the people around you. That's basically what walking away means. You're assessing the people. When last have you assessed the people around you? The boss? Can you tell that your boss is dysfunctional?
Yeah, or like their intentions or motivations.
Yes. Can you tell that? Can you? And that's where asking. Sometimes you don't even have to ask the question. Here's something I must say to you. Here's one thing when I do ask a question. Whenever I'm talking to someone, sorry. It's not so much the question I ask them and the answer they give me, but it's what I did not say or you did not tell me.
Yes. Yeah, well, I think that's the point of asking questions.
Yes.
Right? It's
because so it's not just me getting information from you.
Right.
But I'm listening as to what you said, but what you avoid. I'm like, why did she not talk about that?
Yes.
And that's something I look into as well.
Well, because too, people will tell you what what they want to tell
Yes,
you.
you have to be aware of
And
that.
especially when you think about dating, like when you first meet someone, it's like everybody's telling you all their good qualities, like what you like, what you enjoy, what you do. And so if you don't stop yourself and just say, okay, let me ask more character type questions, like who is this person? Are they generous? What's their relationship like with their parents? You want to get a wider idea of who a person is. You have to ask questions that they're not telling you, like,
Yes.
you know, because some people do hide information because they want to impress you, they don't want to scare you off, so they will tell you things that sound really good, but in the back of your mind you may have a hunch, you may have like, I want to know a little bit more about this, or
Yes.
I wonder how he is in this situation, and so on. Asking questions really helps with that. As I've learned growing, developing, and even in our marriage, you know, when you take the position of someone who asks questions, it really opens you to growing, to growth.
Yes, yes.
Because it shows that you're teachable. It shows that I'm not a know-it-all, and
Yes.
I don't know everything.
Yes.
And if I don't know something,
So it's not about asking questions, just sometimes you
expose
ask to
somebody.
learn. Yeah, it's not
Exactly.
about exposing.
right. But it's
Yes.
about learning too.
Yes.
Because the more that I have asked a question instead of making an assumption or whatever, it shows me like that teachable nature allows me to grow. I learn new things, or I'm at my characters, there's more added to me, and all those things. And I feel like that's what makes it important too.
Sometimes by asking questions, you find out I cannot be in a relationship with this person.
Yes, yes.
This person can only be my friend. Or
yeah.
after this talk, this is the last time I want to hear from them.
Yeah.
So that's what teachable means.
Yeah.
Asking question is really being comfortable with what they tell you. Because here's another thing about asking question. Finding out your faults
Yes.
are the things you struggle with.
Yeah.
And then wondering, you know what? It's still okay. I
Yes.
still want to
Yes.
be with this person.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what asking question does.
Yes. Now, is there a time you feel like asking questions is not appropriate, or is there a time when it's not about asking questions?
Yeah, because they're very good. And well, especially for us as male, especially for us as male, one thing, if you're speaking to a woman, you want to listen to her. First of all, she should speak more than you.
Well, women do naturally.
No, they should, but some men want to take over.
Okay,
And it says a lot about the type of man that they are. So I'm saying that there are times when you must learn to just listen. Because here's the thing, and I learned this, persons can pretend, but here's the thing, especially when after a while, especially when someone is getting angry, they usually tell who they are. So that's why just listening at the same time is equally important as asking questions.
Yes.
So don't be too quick to ask questions. Some people might like, am I in an interview while you're I remember I was asked that one. I was talking to someone and I just kept asking questions.
Yes.
But deep down, I never trusted this person.
Okay, yeah.
What I should have done was just listen to them. The thing is that this person was not an open book as I was.
Yes, yes.
So because I was asking the question, it built up their walls.
Yes. Okay.
So it didn't
Yes.
allow them to be open until
yes.
way later on. I'm saying sometimes you need to drop that guard sometime and listen.
Yes.
And listen to what they're saying.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, because you don't want to push people away either, because it can be disarming. You're just, you want to present yourself as, truthfully, you want to present yourself as an ally, and I'm here to support you, versus like, I'm trying to break you down and break you down some more. And yeah, so I think in those situations, it's good to just, like you said, step back, because I think asking questions is a part of listening, but unless you're listening well, you don't ask good questions either, right? Because I could be telling you something, and then all of a sudden you ask some off-the-wall question, and I'm like,
has nothing to do
where
with
did this come from?
what we're talking about.
Yes. So I feel like when you are an active listener, you're going to ask great questions, and you're also not going to always have like that impulse to ask just because you can.
Yes.
Right. And so I think that's a really good point. and raising that, it's good to just sometimes listen and sit with that. And I think in other cases where it's not good to ask questions is if the whole intention really is about breaking a person. It's about like breaking them down. So you start, because I feel like I had an experience like this a couple years ago where
breaking them down.
Yeah.
Oh, to reveal who they are.
Yes, it's like you're trying to just probe and stab, and you keep going, and the person is visibly, distressed from it. But because some people do behave that way, they feel like they have the upper hand on the individual, so they keep on going, because it's all in search of the truth, or we're trying to get to the root of something. But I think it's inappropriate when the emotional environment isn't conducive to us having a peaceful conversation about whatever you're asking me. We got to a breaking point. And because there are some people like this in the world, because they saw an open spot to go in for the kill, they went for it. And the more they kept pounding me down with questions, the more broken I got. Like I said, just breaking down a person. And that's not good. That's not kind either. But yeah, so I do feel that, yes, we should ask questions. We should be questioning authority. And it doesn't necessarily mean, right, you have to be disrespectful about it.
Yes.
But when you're hearing things and someone in an authoritative position is saying things as facts, as truth, as Bible or gospel, it's okay to question them.
Yes.
Because that's how cults are formed. People don't ask questions. They're like, no, I don't want to hear it. But sometimes by asking a question, even if it is coming against authority or against a certain, government or whatever, it will keep you from falling prey to those kinds of unfortunate deception.
Yeah, definitely.
And, because I think some people in authority, they don't like it too, because again, it questions their power and their control. When they see, oh, you're a free thinker. Like, you're a free thinker. We got to get rid of you, right? Like, we need to get you away from the sheep that's not asking, because you could be the one person that goes in there and all of a sudden people are like, oh, I've never thought of asking that before.
Yes.
So I think just using discernment too in your relationships where you are, because some people, if you start this like string of questions, it could bring out the worst in them.
I love it. And I like the hunger you're coming at too, because that's very important, because I'm glad you're helping us getting this clear. We're not saying ask 10 questions. No, I think you ask a question and you sit back and allow the person to talk. Let them talk. Because the more you talk, they'll tell you about themselves, for example. And then you probably ask another question based on what they say. And then you continue the conversation. But here, very good. I love what you say. Don't push it, because you don't. It's not like you're there to have fun. And here's the thing, you're there to talk as well. So even when that person spoke and you let's say ask another question, you need to know, say, okay, now let me say something. Let this person know that I'm an open book. I can ask. Can you see, I think it goes back to this now. Because one of the reasons why persons may prefer to ask questions and hesitate to open up is because of what happened to them in the past. So here's a question I have to ask again. Are you the type of person that love gossip, drama, scandal? Or is it well, it could be or, as well as, are you the type of person that you tend to listen to relationship issues, but when one side goes against the other?
So one-sided.
Yes, so they'll say, oh, men are like this, women are like this, and it's nothing good we're talking about. Right then and there, that's telling me that you're a type of person that may be broken. Because you're just drawn to those type of things. And here's something I'm going to say. It goes, but all of this experience of being broken, what I'm saying to you is that first, you realize you're drawn to these type of programming resources. That means you will be drawn to that type of relationship. But where is all of this coming from? Where's all of that coming from?
Not asking questions.
No, true. No, I'm saying, why are you drawn, why are you attracted to this? It's coming from home.
Yeah.
It's coming from what happened at home with your parents, with probably your siblings. I'm trying to say you weren't open up, you didn't trust people.
Yeah.
It started from home.
Right.
So here's what I'm trying to say. A lot of these men that I started out with saying that these criminal profilers,
Yeah.
they are drawn to people who are broken. And that brokenness started at home.
Yes.
And I think that's something we have to be aware of, because at the end of the day, what am I trying to say? That you're going to look at life from one lens.
Right.
And that's why we need to ask questions. And sometimes we need to ask ourselves that question. So this is where we're getting at as well. When last have you questioned yourself?
Yeah, like your decisions, your why do you want a certain thing? Yeah, because you know what, I think that self-reflection, because I think introverts it naturally happens, where you're very introspective, you're questioning certain things, but it is good to sit with yourself sometimes and ask, why do I want this so bad? Why do I want this type of person? Why am I making this kind of decision? Because it does help you to make more of an informed decision, and it keeps you from being impulsive. Because a lot of times when you're out there, people are leveraging emotion, they're leveraging, the fear of missing out. You see it a lot happening in marketing strategies, right? It's like you can be a victim to so much propaganda and so on, because you're not stopping to ask the question, so that you can make an informed decision. So I like that you're saying it's not just about asking other people, but it's also to get an idea of who you are, your modus operandi. Why do I operate
where
this
you
way?
are in life, and why are you here and not somewhere else?
Yes. And so I think that's kind of the summary, right? And what we're sharing is asking questions is really about pursuing truth.
Yes.
Showing genuine interest in others and not just always thinking you know everything. It's also to grow, learning from your mistakes, being teachable, being willing to say, I need help, or I need support, or I need more tutoring in this area, right? It's okay that you don't know everything. And again, asking questions is also a way to safeguard you from people that are holding up masks, because the masks will slip with time. It's very, like the Bible says, what's in the dark will get exposed by the light. So that is a universal truth, that the longer someone is pretending, at some point the mask will slip. But sometimes you can safeguard yourself from the heartache of being in a situation like that by just taking time to ask a question here and there. If you have a suspicion about something, there's nothing wrong with that, right? You're not insinuating that the other person is cruel or unusual or whatever, but you're safeguarding yourself, and I think that's important.
At the end of the day, we need to learn to ask questions in order to grow. And I see that happen a lot with persons who don't ask themselves or ask others questions. And I think one last thing I want to share though before we go, there's this man, one of these men shared something, that there's this guy who came to him and said he's talking to this girl, and at the end of the day, he said that he looked at the girl's phone one day, and what he saw was a message that was being communicated between her and this other lady, and the message was like saying, have you dealt with him yet? Have you brought him down? Something to suggest that they're there to destroy his life, straight up. The same girl was texting this other person. Obviously, they sent her in his life to destroy his life.
Wow.
And she's like, just give me a few weeks. I'm still working on it.
Oh my God.
We're still this, we're still that. I haven't reached there yet.
Yeah.
And this guy came to the man, told him what was happening, and the man is like, run from such a woman like that.
Yes.
Anyway, he said he hasn't heard from this guy for like maybe a month to maybe a year, I guess. The next thing he heard was that on social media it was being said that both of them are getting married.
What?
And he was like, for those who say that we would never work, we're going to prove you're wrong.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
are you doing this?
so in essence, it's one thing to ask question, but what are you going to do with the response?
True. Yeah.
So it's one thing to ask those questions and to even come for help and to ask questions from someone else who can help you.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that response? And if you find yourself still making those decisions or choosing the same dysfunctional type of relationship, I don't think anything is wrong with the other person. Something is wrong with your decision making.
Yeah. With that being said, ask questions to avoid serial killers.
Makes sense.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, please feel free to chime in the comments below and hit the thumbs up, subscribe to see more. And we look forward to seeing you next time on
The Morgan Dialogues. Bye-bye.
Take care.